Hi, this is Trey Pass. I'm going to do another Mr. Nightmare story. This one is 4 creepy gas station horror stories. Mr. Nightmare, I love Mr. Nightmare's videos, so let's get right to this one. I'll be right back with my reaction. Okay, let me put my headphones on. Okay, let's go. Okay. Okay, here we go right now. Go. Gas Station Stories. Story 1 by Robert Clark.
Years ago, I did the night shift at a gas station because I was strapped for cash and needed a second job. I worked the night shift there for a few months. It was around my second or third month that this guy started regularly coming in really late at night, always around 2 a.m. He was about 6 feet tall. He had long, stringy hair. He'd always come in, buy a tall boy, and leave. But after a while, he one night asked me my name. I told him my name, and he just kept saying, "Rob, I like that," as he'd laugh to himself. He cracked open the tall boy he just bought and walked out of the store talking to himself. He was clearly hammered. This was the night I was curious to see if he had been drinking and driving every single time that he'd come to the store. I watched as he left, and he walked out of sight off the gas station property. That would make sense. He never once bought gas anytime he came in. He'd always just buy alcohol. I'd seen him just about every night after that for a while. He'd come in, some nights noticeably drunker than others, and sometimes he'd just lean on one of the shelves for a while and not say anything. He'd always greet me with a "Hey Rob" anytime he'd come in. One night he was just leaning on a shelf, drinking the tall boy he just bought, not saying anything, just staring at a wall. I asked him for his name finally. He looked at me, took about 5 seconds, and said, "Bob." Now, I always felt like Bob is a go-to fake name when you're lying about your name. I wondered if the first thing that came to mind for him was Bob because it rhymes with my name, but I went with it. I said, "So Bob, where do you work?" He laughed so loud it actually startled me. He said he doesn't work. He said the government completely fucked him out of his job. I got the vibe he was wasted again. He looked at me with an angry-looking face, but interestingly said, "I like you, Rob. You seem like you know what you're doing." I didn't know what that meant, but he walked out of the store right after that. I didn't see him again for a while. I'd say over a week passed, which for a regular like him was a while. Bob always gave me this off, mildly creepy vibe. I figured he was usually drunk, but something was obviously wrong in his personal life. Well, one very stormy night, with less customers than usual, likely because of the storm, I heard the ding of the front door as someone entered, and I swear before looking I imagined it to be Bob, and when I looked, I was shocked to see it was actually him, but it was a much scarier version of Bob. He was completely soaked. He wasn't wearing a rain jacket or using an umbrella. He was just in a dark shirt and jeans. His long hair was drenched, and he was just standing by the door looking straight ahead at the wall. He looked like he was angry, and yet his mind was elsewhere, like his thoughts were running. The way he was standing there blankly, staring at nothing, completely soaked, it was freaking me out. I said, "Bob, are you okay?" He didn't turn his head or move. He stood still and said, "I did something really bad." I asked, "What did you do?" He then looked at me, said, "I need somewhere to hide," then walked past me at the register towards the little restroom hallway. He disappeared behind the wall, and I heard one of the doors open and close. I was genuinely getting uncomfortable with Bob now. I didn't enjoy his presence whenever he was in the store, and tonight something was extra off about him. He seemed like a zombie, and that "I did something really bad" comment was incredibly creepy. Some time passed, and Bob never came out from the bathroom. I assumed he was wasted again, probably passed out or puking. Either way, I didn't want to intervene. And then, the next thing I remember, the lights to the place cut out, and the store was completely dark. I was standing in a pitch-dark gas station during a major storm with an unhinged drunk man. I used the flashlight from behind the counter to make my way towards the back of the store by the inventory storage and the panel board. The door to the back was in the same little hallway as the restrooms. As I walked by the 2 restroom doors, both of them were ajar, and Bob wasn't in either of them. I went through the door to the back. I was planning on going straight to the panel board, but I stopped when I heard a slight dripping in the room somewhere
Oh.
and the squeaking of wet shoes.
Oh.
My heart sank into my stomach. I said, "Bob," in a very weak and scared voice. I heard squeaks right to my left. When I pointed my flashlight in that corner, there was Bob, with his eyes opened wide, and he lunged at me and started screaming, "I'm gonna fucking kill you."
Whoa.
I pushed him off of me as he was clawing at my back. I ran back through the door to the front of the store. He didn't follow me. I grabbed my rain jacket and ran straight to my car. I sat in my car as I dialed 911 and spoke to an operator.
Yeah.
I stayed on the line with her, and it didn't take long for a couple police officers to arrive and go inside with me.
Okay.
Bob was still hiding in the back room, huddled in a corner, apparently like some rabid creature.
Jeez.
His pupils were huge. I only noticed it then.
Yeah.
He was on something. They took him to the station after I told them that he lunged at me, threatened to kill me, and stated that he did something really bad earlier.
Yeah.
I found out over a month later that this Bob guy's real name was Martin. He had brutally beaten his ex-wife to death.
Oh, Jesus.
It might have happened on that same night that he came into the gas station.
Oh, my God.
Long story short, I never wanted to work another night shift at any job ever again
Yeah.
after this night.
Yeah, I'm playing. Jesus Christ. Story 2, Mateo. Mateo M.
I've done a lot of night driving in my life. Not for work or anything.
Yeah.
My old friend group and I would always just stay out till crazy hours when we were in our late teens and early 20s. I guess you could say we were the losers. We thought staying out till 5 a.m. every weekend hanging at parks or in parking lots was cool. Looking back, it was a stupid waste of time.
Yeah.
But basically, for that reason, I've done my fair share of driving at off hours in the night.
Okay.
And usually that's when the drunkos and crazy people are on the roads. It was a weekend night. It had to be approaching 4 in the morning. I wanted to go home. I drove one of my friends home from the park we were hanging out at.
Okay.
And before driving myself home, I had to stop for gas. I used to like getting gas at night because there would be no other cars in the way. I pulled into one of my usual gas stations not far from my parents' house.
Okay.
As I was walking to the building to pay, there was a short guy wearing a hood walking past me.
Uh-oh.
He stopped in his tracks and stared me down as I walked past. I said, "What?" as I kept walking. He said nothing, so I kept walking. Typical crackhead. I went inside the building to pay the attendant for my gas.
Okay.
I also bought a lottery ticket while I was there. I came back outside and started to fill up. I looked around, and as expected, it was a ghost town at this hour.
Okay.
Once done, I got back in the car and started driving home.
Okay.
Halfway home, I heard something behind me, in the car.
Oh.
I looked in the rearview mirror, and there was someone in the rear seat looking back at me.
Oh.
I let out a scream so loud I probably almost collapsed my lungs.
Oh my God.
I slammed on the brakes and screamed, "Get out." It was the dude from the gas station.
Jesus.
I opened my doors and started screaming help, knowing at least a couple people would come out from their houses.
Yeah.
Sure enough, a couple houses' porch lights turned on, and I saw some doors opening.
Jesus.
The guy got out of my car and said, "I could have slit your throat."
Yeah.
As some people came out of their houses, he started to run away down the street.
Jeez.
I didn't chase after him.
I don't blame.
A couple people came over to me and asked if I was all right,
Jesus.
and I told them how a stranger was in my back seat. By now, the guy was out of sight. I wasn't about to start driving around after a crackhead. I thanked the people who came out and continued my drive home, making sure I didn't see him anywhere the rest of the drive.
Oh.
That was the scariest experience of my life.
Yeah, you should have locked the doors, man. How you leave a door unlocked? Story 3 by Ed Howes. Ooh, you could have slit your throat.
This event happened in the mid-60s in the Atlanta area.
Mid-60s.
At that time, I was about 8 or 9 years old.
Okay.
My father taught school in a suburb of Atlanta that was some distance from where our home was located.
Okay.
I went to the same school where he taught, so I rode with him every day. However, we had to get up very early each morning and head out before the sun was up.
Okay.
We always stopped several mornings each week to top off on gas at a small, independent station.
Okay.
We were often the first car there shortly after the station opened. In those days, everything was full service. There was a booth with an attendant who would come out and fill your tank, wash your windows, etc.
Okay.
He would always be carrying a wad of bills in his pocket and a device on his belt from which he counted out coins.
Uh-oh.
Behind the pumps were tiny bathrooms. I would often use the bathroom on mornings that we stopped there. as it was a fairly long drive.
Okay.
One morning, we again arrived before dawn to find the station completely deserted.
Jesus.
It was totally quiet other than the traffic sounds going by.
Okay.
There was no sign of an attendant, either in the booth or anywhere else around the station. My father blew the car horn once, then again a few more times, but there was no response. We discussed what might be the problem. My father first suggested that perhaps the attendant might be in the bathroom, but when he still did not appear, my father said that maybe the attendant had experienced car trouble and had not been able to make it to work on time.
Good point.
We continued to wait for several minutes. No other cars pulled in. I told my father I needed to use the bathroom and put my hand on the car door handle to get out, but he told me that we could not wait any longer and I could use the bathroom at the next station we came to.
Okay.
So we left, still wondering what happened. A day or two later, my father was reading the local newspaper when I heard a loud exclamation from him. He excitedly told my mother and I about a small article which stated that the body of a gas station attendant had been discovered with multiple stabs stuffed into the men's bathroom of the station. It was the station we always went to.
Oh, man.
The article said the motive appeared to be robbery, as all cash and coins were missing. Early in the morning, the total amount of money was probably not a lot. The article gave no hint as to what amount was taken, but either way, that didn't stop the killer. I've often wondered how I would have been affected at that young age if I had insisted on going to the bathroom at that station and had opened the door to discover the body of the murdered attendant.
Oh, yeah, that would have messed you up.
We never went to that gas station again.
Yeah, I can imagine. Okay, story 4 by Julia M. Jolie, excuse me. Oh, man.
This took place when I was 25.
Okay.
I was driving from North to South Texas.
Okay.
And due to my work schedule, I could only do this late at night.
Okay.
I was on Route 281 for much of the drive.
Okay.
And at these late hours, it was an easy, straight drive. I just had to keep myself awake.
Okay.
I was already kind of shot from work, and then getting on the road right after was brutal. I had to keep making stops for coffee at random gas stations just to keep myself going. I think it was my third time starting to feel a little sleepy, and on top of that, I needed to fill up my tank as well. I pulled into the first gas station I could find on the desolate side roads. I can't remember what kind of gas station it was, maybe a Sunoco or Shell. There was one other car in the parking lot. I parked next to one of the pumps and went inside. There were 2 people in the shop, the cashier, and then I noticed another guy pacing down the aisles. I went to the coffee maker and poured myself a cup. The guy who was pacing around came up to me and said, "Careful, it's hot." And then he laughed. It was a piss-poor, creepy, unnecessary attempt at starting a conversation that I didn't bite at. I was not in the mood. I didn't reply, and I took the coffee to the cashier where I paid for it as well as for the gas.
Okay.
The guy came up behind me while I was paying and said, "I really like that top." I said thank you just loud enough for him to hear. He followed it up with, "Where are you heading off to so late at night?"
Oh, God.
I was so annoyed by this point, I firmly asked him to leave me alone. The cashier was some 40-something-year-old Hispanic man. I wasn't sure how much English he understood, or if he was even reading the situation that was happening in front of him. But he was also a smaller, shorter man, and it was doubtful he was going to step in at all. The man behind me said calm down after I asked him to leave me alone. I left the shop without saying another word and went to my car. I heard the door open again a few seconds after I left the shop. I was next to my car now, preparing to fill up the tank. As gas started pumping into my car, I heard his footsteps on the concrete over on the other side of the pumps.
Oh, boy.
Then they stopped. When the footsteps stopped, I glanced over, and I noticed him, creepily standing on the other side of the pump I was using.
Oh, God.
He was quite literally just standing there watching me. He wasn't filling up gas. There wasn't even a car there. I started considering grabbing my pepper spray from my center console. The guy said, "Are you alone?" When he asked that, the gravity of the situation escalated greatly.
Say no.
I replied, "No, my boyfriend is in the car." I opened the door and quickly grabbed the pepper spray from the center console.
Good.
I grabbed it and held it at my side, pretending to still be focused on pumping the gas. The man was inching his way around the gas pump, like he was coming around to my side. He said, "I don't see anyone in the car." I pulled out the pepper spray and aimed it up at the man, and he laughed and backed away. He said he was just trying to make conversation. He was walking backwards with his focus locked onto me still. I was just about done pumping gas. Then I felt and heard a clank. The gas stopped pumping. My tank was full. I had like $6 worth of change. I had to go back inside to get it.
What?
The man was in between the shop and I. I had to make a choice.
Fuck.
I made the decision to get my change.
What?
I had my arm up in the air still, pointing the pepper spray can at him. He continued to back away, chuckling. When it was safe, I turned my back to him and entered the shop. I asked the cashier for change. I told the cashier that that man was making me really uncomfortable, but it seemed like he didn't really understand what I was saying. Once I got my change, I looked out the glass door into the parking lot before leaving. I didn't see that man out there. I was scared to go out there.
Jeez.
Like, what if you were hiding somewhere?
Exactly.
I stepped outside in front of the shop. I didn't leave that little sidewalk. I just stayed there, looking around. That man was gone, out of sight, which meant he was absolutely hiding.
Yep.
Eventually, a pickup truck pulled into the parking lot and pulled next to one of the pumps. A large man with a beard stepped out, and I went over to him asking him for help. I asked him to check if there was a man hiding behind my car. He was confused, but he did it for me.
Okay.
He got to the other side of my car, and he yelled, "What are you doing?"
Uh-oh.
And there went that creepy man, hurrying away from behind my car.
Oh.
He started to run away into the darkness surrounding the gas station.
Jesus.
I thanked that man so much, and he said in his thick southern accent to be careful out there.
Yes.
I left that parking lot in a hurry, and I continued the rest of my drive. That creepy man was 100% waiting to pounce as soon as I unlocked my car doors.
Yep.
And that's really disturbing to me.
Whoa. That was creepy. Just all kinds of creepy. Okay. Oh man, those gas station horror stories are really just really creepy. But that last story, oh my God, that's why I say women are vulnerable. That's why I remember having this discussion with my sister one time, and she said pepper spray. I said, no, get a taser if you can, because you're a woman, and it's not about fair sex and all that stuff. Well, men are biologically stronger than women, okay? So if you have a taser, that will even the playing field, okay? And especially you're traveling late at night by yourself, and you got to pull up to a gas station. You don't know what creeps are hanging out in the gas station and stuff. And this guy was purposely, and he was waiting for you. Thank God you were smart enough to wait. And then you saw another car pull up with another dude, and that dude was a good dude, and he looked for you and saw the guy and chased him off because he was waiting for you to come out, and he was going to pounce on you. As soon as you open that door, he was going to pounce on you. Oh, man. Exactly. And you can't always depend on the people that work in the gas station because suppose, you don't know if that guy is a stand-up guy or not. He just maybe didn't even want to get involved in it. But, and Jesus, that was scary. It's a creepy guy making conversation. Exactly. Woman. Exactly. And guys, sometimes these creepy guys always say, oh, he probably think, hey, ain't nobody here but the gas station, the attendant works in there and he's not going to leave. He's not going to go outside, He's going to stay in there because he want to keep his job. So, and you got to walk out to your car. And I was saying, oh no, she should just say screw it and not go get a change. But it's a good thing she did do that and waited. But she was smart. She waited till somebody else pulled up, and that was good. And actually the guy was there waiting. Oh my God, you creepy son of a! Oh my God, that was just so creepy. Exactly. So women got to be especially careful, especially traveling. Especially at night, late at night by yourself, even in the daytime, shoot by yourself. If you're a woman, because I'm sorry, women are vulnerable because men are stronger, and if you get the right creepy guy in the right situation, he can snatch you up and could have ended really tragically. But thank God that guy was a stand-up guy, and he was able to chase the guy off. Okay, now the other story, the backseat thing, that was creepy, and that's why you keep your doors locked. Okay, the dude, obviously he left the car door open. He didn't, do the, and lock the door, and the guy was able to crawl into the back seat. And he's right, he could have slit your throat. As soon as you got behind the wheel and started the car, he could have sliced your throat. So you're very lucky that you saw the guy. He popped up in there, and you saw him. Oh, you heard him, and he popped up there, and he was able to stop the car and make noise, and people were able to come out. And he ran off. But he could have, like I said, that's why you always keep your door locked. Okay, even if you're going into the the gas station to get gas, or lock your doors. Okay, don't leave your door open, because the guy just slipped in there and was just waiting. Okay, he was probably waiting till you stop. Maybe you get to your destination and then prop out and slice your throat or whatever. Just really creepy. And the first story with the guy, the tall guy, the creepy Bob. Well, no, his name was Bob, right? Yeah, that guy was Bob. That guy obviously he was messed up mentally. And then you found out he beat his wife to death and came to work, and he was actually attacked you too. Thank God you ran outside. You was able to push him off and run outside. And this guy just got through killing his ex-wife. Jesus. You never know. That's why those jobs working late at night, I'm sorry, you got to be armed. I'm sorry. Especially like these gas stations and all that stuff. They should have an armed guard on site. Not having a guy work by yourself. I think you're asking for it, because I remember the times that I've seen on these shows and stuff, and you hear about it where people are working late at night, even in a hotel sometimes, and somebody does something to them, because you're by yourself and they're vulnerable. If you don't got a weapon or something, you're vulnerable, and you can, even man or woman, you can get attacked. And suppose it's more than one guy coming in and you're by yourself. They could basically snatch you up from behind the counter and throw you in a freezer or something, or kill you, and then and take all the money and whatever and keep going. That's why I think people working in abandoned shops should always, those 7-Elevens or whatever, they should have an armed guard working in those places. Not a regular guard with just a nightstick. No, you have an armed guard. Okay, I think that would be best for those places. I think that would be, so that way I would feel, definitely if I worked there, I would feel protected. Exactly. And then the other story, I forgot, there was another story. The story about when the kid in the 60s, and him and his father his father was a teacher, and they used to drive to the gas station early in the morning, and the guy, and somebody probably noticed that the guy, that was full service, he had money on him, and he had to change things. So somebody was probably peeping that, and they decided, okay, well, I'll get there extra early, and when the guy opens up, I'll snatch him up and kill him and take the money. Exactly, because the guy obviously was there by himself, and which is a shame that that happened to them, because I'm sure if that was the owner that got killed, or somebody that worked for them there, you're vulnerable by being there by yourself, especially with money there. They know you got money. I know when it first starts out in the morning, you probably don't got that much money, just enough to make a couple of change and stuff. But somebody probably noticed it and say, okay, this guy is here by himself. He has money because he can make change when he does self-service, and he has money, he has cash and change on him. I'll just wait, and jump him. Or maybe it's two guys that jump him and kill them and stuff them in the bathroom. And that's sad, really. You got to kind of know about reality and stuff. And that, again, like I said, if I owned a gas station or one of those things like that, I would definitely have an armed guard working in the place too, if you could afford it. I guess that's because I know everybody can't afford that. But you at least have if 2 people working in there. And I don't know how any woman would work in a 7-Eleven, gas station, or whatever by themselves late at night. Without having a weapon or something. Okay, I would not. I don't know how anybody would do that. I wouldn't need a job that badly. As a man, I wouldn't want to do that. So I can only imagine being a woman. You're vulnerable. Just like that 4th story, the guy was just creeping around and and obviously waiting for you. And thank God that other guy showed up, because that could have ended really badly. And you had pepper spray on you, but you should have, in your car, you should have had it on you, or like I said, like a taser. That's why I think women should legally be able to carry tasers with them, so that way if any creepy guy comes up to them late at night, they can tase the crap out of them, and that will even the playing field. That would even the playing field a lot. Okay, and they wouldn't have to be worried. And if I had daughters, I definitely would tell them, carry tasers. I would buy them, each one of them, tasers, and say, you use that. You feel threatened, use it, okay? And that taser will even the playing field. That will take down everybody. Take down a man, woman, doesn't matter. It will take them down. And that way I would feel better about them, being outside, out at night by themselves. But anyway, let me know what you think of these stories, which are really incredibly creepy, of these gas station horror stories. I'll leave a link to Mr. Nightmare's channel in the description box so you can check it out for yourself. Also have links to my Facebook, my Twitter, my Instagram. Also have a link to my other channel, Love Views and Opinions. We check that out as well. Also have a link down below to my Patreon. I want to say a special thank you to my patron. His name will appear in this video somewhere. I want to say thank you for supporting me. Always have my back. And again, my patrons only $5 a month. Tons of content on there. Tons of unedited content on there. I got Marvel shows, DC shows, Star Wars shows. I have movies on there as well. Follow the link below to the Patreon. Check it out if you want to support me. Only $5 a month. Also, please give this video a thumbs up. It helps the channel, and I truly appreciate it. Also, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell, so you know when I upload new content to this channel. And this is Trey Pastor saying so long and take care.